Good morning, I'm Bridget Washington, chef and cookbook author. And today at the Diner Igor Teaching and Research Kitchen at NC State, we are making a springtime orzo and asparagus pasta. This is a very simple dish, but it has some big, bold flavors and also a lot of nutritional oomph. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is that we're going to talk about our asparagus. Now, I already have my asparagus cut up here. But asparagus, as you can see, its shape, the top of it is shaped like a little spear. And what I tell my kids is that this is a little weapon in the fight against cancer and a lot of other diseases and ailments because of its high nutritional content as well as its detoxifying compounds. And so asparagus, because it is so high in potassium and folate and vitamin K, it really goes the distance in regulating blood pressure and boosting brain function. This asparagus is going to form the base of our dish today, as well as garbanzo beans. And when you're buying garbanzo beans, I always recommend choosing the garbanzo beans that are low in sodium because you really don't need that excess salt. In addition, garbanzo beans are also high in fiber and protein. So together with the pasta, asparagus and garbanzo beans, we have a very satisfying vegetarian meal that could be eaten warm or cold. This could easily transfer to a pasta salad without any of the heavy mayo or oils that you usually put in a pasta salad. And it truly goes the distance. So the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to boil our orzo. Here we have 1 cup of orzo. Now, orzo is an Italian pasta, and it looks like rice. And in Italian, this translates to barley, because as you can see, it looks like an actual barley grain, but it's actually pasta. So I'm going to get this on. And rule of thumb for cooking these smaller types of pasta is about 1/4 of water to 1 cup of pasta. So here we have 1 quart of water. Just gonna add that in. And we're gonna wait for that to come up to a boil, and then we're going to salt it. And I like to salt the pasta water before I'm cooking the pasta because it's a way to season your pasta. Usually you think that you could only season your pasta with like a heavy, creamy sauce. However, while you just use the simple pasta water, a simple salted pasta water, a lot of the starches from the pasta comes out and it creates its own nice, creamy, thick, dense sauce. So while we're just going to wait for this to come to a boil, and then we will start with our asparagus. So our orzo is currently boiling, and while that's boiling, we're going to get started with our sauteed vegetables. Here we have 3 tablespoons of olive oil. We're going to heat that on medium-high heat. And next, we are going to add some garlic while that's heating up. And for the garlic, I just like to get it out of the way. I give it a good smash with my knife and using the bottom of my hand to get the skin off, and it just comes off very easily. And then you get the bottom skin off as well. And then when all the little pieces are off of the skin, I just run my knife through it. And even though it's just 2 cloves of garlic, the garlic adds a nice peppery finish and also allows all of the other flavors to really blend in. So now we're going to add our garlic into the olive oil. Like that. And just allow that to saute. And again, we're not using any heavy creams or any type of dairy in this, but you will see at the end how naturally creamy this dish ends up being. Just again, by virtue of the starchy pasta water melding with this olive oil and garlic. it really comes together to make a really good viscous texture. And so now our garlic is dancing. That's what you want to look for. You just want to look for a nice good bubble. You don't want it to start browning because you don't want it to burn. And next to the garlic, we are adding our asparagus. The reason why we are sauteing our asparagus and we're not boiling it is because you want the nice, crisp density of the asparagus to really be intact and preserved during this. So you could definitely boil asparagus as it has been boiled in past recipes. However, by sauteing it, you're really allowing the texture to remain, and you end up getting a dish that has a really good crunch and bite to it. And then it just tastes so much brighter than when it's boiled. And none of those nutritional elements gets released into the water. So by sauteing it, it is keeping the whole vegetable in place. And so our orzo is probably all done. So now we are going to drain it while this is sauteing, and then we're going to come back here. So we've drained our orzo and we let it return into the pan and to the stock pot, and it will carry over cook. And as you can see now, the asparagus and the garlic and the oil is getting really nice and blistered. Next, to this asparagus and garlic, we are adding our garbanzo beans. This garbanzo beans imparts a really delicious nutty flavor. It not only adds a different type of round, crunchy element, but it really rounds out the dish insofar as the nuttiness leans into some of that natural crispiness of the asparagus. So in it goes. Just like that. And already it smells fantastic. And you can see how quickly this is coming together. In just a couple more minutes, this will be all done. We're just going to allow this to saute some more. So what's happening here is that we're just getting everything incorporated. The garbanzo beans doing its thing. The garlic still is not burnt, and that's why it's important to keep the heat on medium. Because if you have a higher flame, you really would get that garlic. The garlic might burn, and you'd want to avoid that. Roasted garlic, sauteed garlic, yes. Burnt garlic, oh no. And so while this is sauteing up, we are just going to finish up here with how we're going to season it. So the last thing we're going to do is that we are going to use the zest and juice of a lemon. And of course, we all know that citrus has a lot of vitamin C, but also the skin does as well. And it's also a very good antimicrobial. So if you don't have a zester, this is how I frequently extract the zest from citrus. I use a vegetable peeler and I peel it. And I just get the yellow, avoiding the pith, because this white pith tends to be a little bit bitter. And so I just peel it. And then I stack up each one of these peels in a nice little stack. And then I just cut it into very small strips. And then again, I cut it again into little squares, small dice. And this way, you're still getting all of that nice bite and punch from the lemon zest without actually zesting it. It's just a fun trick. And now we have some parsley. So we're gonna add our vegetables, and some of the garbanzo beans have been cracking, and that is a beautiful thing. So we're gonna add these vegetables turn this off, into our pot containing the orzo. And as you can see, the garlic is still very translucent. It has not browned. And we're going to stir this together. And now we're going to season it with a teaspoon of salt, some black pepper, the full lemon zest, and finally, some lemon juice. When I'm juicing a lemon over a pot like this, I just squeeze it upwards and I let the juice fall through from the top of the lemon. And that way, all of the seeds stay in the lemon and does not go into the pot. Whoop, there we go. And now we're going to season this up. And just stir to incorporate all of it. And again, this is a full and complete meal. A lot of protein and fiber, not just from the garbanzo beans, but also from the asparagus. And it smells wonderful. The lemon juice and zest perfumes it wonderfully. And we just plate it. As you can see, it is very thick. It has a nice consistency to it. And it is not at all need for any type of heavy dairy or cream. And so here's our dish. We're going to garnish it with some fresh chopped parsley. And again, the parsley will lean into those bright flavors and finish this dish with a complete taste of spring.